Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices like ClipCut Parks. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today, get those scissors out because we're going to be cutting. You're going to be cutting pieces of paper and using those shapes to try to create and finish parks. Today, we're going to be talking about ClipCut Parks. This is from Renegade Game Studios. It's not a roll and write game, it's a roll and cut game. Let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. ClipCut Parks is a roll and cut game for 1 to 4 players where you're going to be cutting different pieces of this park out depending on what's rolled on the die. And as you cut pieces of the park out, you're going to be placing them on different parks. Some of them have no special requirements. Some of them have color requirements and need you to build in multiple places at the same time. And some spots have requirements like having an animal icon. When you complete a park, you'll be getting bonuses, like the gardener, which allows you to spend a token to ignore a requirement on a card. Or they might get you some bonus clippings that you can possibly even add to one of your parks now. And you have to be careful because if you cut out a piece that can't be placed on any of your parks, you must crumple it up, which possibly will make you lose a tiebreaker at the end of the game. You're trying to be the first to get 5 parks completed to win the game. It also has a Grand Parks variant, which has many more challenging ways to have to cut out pieces. And there's a solo mode that can also be played with the Grand Parks. The object of the game is to be the first player to finish all 5 of their parks. Now over the course of the game, you're going to be using these scissors to cut out different sections of your park sheet, placing them on cards, and trying to completely cover it and finish a card. The first one to do that for all 5 cards is going to be the winner. The game is played over multiple rounds until one player has finished all 5 parks, and each round goes through 5 different steps. The first step is to roll. The player that has the die will roll this, and then we'll see what comes up. Then everyone is going to cut. Now in the cut step, each player will simultaneously make as many cuts that's here and the exact distance of those. So here we see a 1, a 1, and a 2. This means each player is going to be simultaneously making 3 cuts on their own park sheet. Now each of the squares that are here essentially is a distance of 1, and we see a 1, 1, 2 here. So we can start cutting this. So you can do them in any order. So let's say we're going to cut the 2 first. So we'll come up here and we will go just like this. Now notice this went 1, 2. Now you always have to go in a straight line when cutting. Also, now I cut right up to here, this 2. I could not then additionally make any other cuts in the same direction as I kept going, meaning you can't add these together. So I couldn't have gone 2 and then another 1 or another 1. You can't do that. Now I could do a 2 and then from where I stopped, go in a different direction with one of the other cuts. So in this case, we'll do one of the ones like this, and we'll do another one sort of like this. Then simultaneously, all players are going to build. Any of the pieces that came off, they can try to build in their park. Now we'll see that we have 2 parks. You can place it anywhere. You can rotate it any way. Now some of them might just need one space like this, and they have no other requirements, meaning it's just there's no colors, there's no symbols, and you could put something like this. But the one that we cut out was like this, and it was 2 of them. Now you'll see this little bridge or walkway here. This means that this has to be on the same piece, kind of like this, and this shows you that it has to be a yellow on that side. So I could not say place it like this because that needs a yellow, but we could place it like this. Now I also could have placed this on this park like this. Now you can never cover another piece. So for example, if this was here, I could not say go like this, for example, because it would be covering that. So let's say we place that piece just like that. Now speaking of building, I've fast forwarded a few turns. Now we have some more things filled in. I want to show you that sometimes cards can have these icons on them. And if it has it like an animal icon, you have to place a piece of the park that has that icon on them. So we could not just place a normal piece of the park there. We would actually have to put one on there like this that matches. So in this case, we have an empty that has no other requirements, and one that needs an animal here. So we could even do something like that. Same goes for this. This has this recycle. In this case, it has to be one that has a recycle. Now before we talk about completing a card, let's say when you're building and you've just clipped and you're getting ready to build, you have this piece and you only have singles here and you cannot place this on any of your cards. If so, you actually crumple this up and you're going to keep it in front of you. This will be important for tiebreakers later. Now when building, if you have completed one or more parks, you're going to take the completed parks and then you're going to separate this card, put it off to the side, but also get a bonus. In this case, we're going to get one additional cut that we can take immediately. And when putting this card off to the side, don't forget to leave all the clippings on as they are, because this could be a tiebreaker at the end of the game. Now, if you do get a bonus cut like that, when making this cut, if a piece falls out like this, you must either place it immediately on one of your parks or crumple it up. You're then going to take the top card from your draw deck and flip it face up, so again you have 2 parks to work on. If this deck is empty, just skip this step. Sometimes when completing a park, you'll get one of these tokens. Now what these tokens allow you to do is ignore one of the requirements on a card. For example, here, this needs an animal. But if I want to place one that doesn't have one, I can take one of these tokens and discard it. Conversely, over here, this needs a recycle, and if I didn't, I could just flip this over and put this back in the supply and spend it and ignore that requirement. Now, some bonuses when you complete a card will give you the gardener token. Now, you can spend one of these when building to ignore a color requirement. For example, we could spend this, and this one would need a red and another one connected. But in this case, we could do something like this. Instead of this being red, we could place it like that by discarding that gardener token. Once everyone has checked if they have parks completed and have completed that step, the die will pass to the next player and you simply start another round. This will continue until a player has finished their 5th and final card. At the end of the round, that game is over and the player who did all 5 of their cards will win. All right, let's talk about the things I like first. I love those little scissors as components. They're different colors, so each player has their own colors. They look like little kid scissors. In fact, if you have really large hands, they might not even fit you. That's one of the negatives, but it's cool to have those as components. This is a great twist on that crowded roll and write genre where it just seems like more and more games are coming out. Everyone's trying to jump on the bandwagon of roll and write games. And quite honestly, most of the ones I play these days are just, they're okay, more of the same. And this is very different, and I like that aspect as it takes that genre and gives it a twist that I liked. I like that you're cutting out your own pieces, and you're kind of like looking at the parks, looking at the sheet, trying to find the best ways to cut, dealing with the dice. It's simple, but there's a decent amount to think about here. I like that you're going to have a plan, and you're going to be adapting those plans based upon that die. In the dice, you're gonna be like, oh, I was gonna make this piece, but oh, now this isn't gonna allow me to get that. What else can I work on over here for something else that I'm gonna be working on? Sometimes you're thinking about multiple things at once and think about where you're gonna put those on the different part cards at the same time. I like that you can be working on 2 different pieces at once. So essentially, like, additional cuts get you what you need for 2 placements. So you might be like, oh, if I get this cut, I can cut this, and this will fall out, and that will fall out. And then I can use both of those right away. And it's kind of cool to set up combos like that. And it's just a fun thing to do. I like that the advanced parks give you a way to make it harder. I definitely always play with those. And the solo game works just fine as well. So overall, I enjoyed the game. If you're looking for a sort of a quick, light, roll and write style game that has quite a bit of a twist, this is definitely a unique one to check out. Now, on the negative side of things, it literally is cutting out Tetris pieces and putting them together. And trying to figure out how to cut the pieces in the right way and dealing with the dice and dealing with all this, this game might be too spatial for some. If you do not like spatial games or you're trying to fit Tetris pieces on something, this is not going to be the game for you. Also, with the score sheets, since you are cutting them up, like most roll and writes, you're using them up, you are going to have a limited amount of plays. In a 4-player game, you'll get about 24 games in. But the game is cheap enough that I think if you've played through all the sheets, you've probably gotten your money's worth of the game, and you can easily just buy another copy because the MSRP is low on this one. So that's it. If you like that style of game, you'll like it. If you don't, you won't. That's pretty much it. It's a straight up review. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games by helping you find the next one you'll love. Did you miss the Game Topper 2.0 Kickstarter? Have no fear, it's not too late to get in on the ultimate gaming accessory. Convert your table into a high-quality gaming table with a fully portable Game Topper system and take advantage of some of the best 3mm premium gaming mats in the industry. New styles, new sizes, and new accessories can be yours. Upgrade every game you play by late backing now at GameToppersLLC.com.